Sure. Here we go. All right. Hopefully it's recording. Just gonna make sure. All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start this off and kind of get straight to the point as much as I can. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time and I just haven't gotten around to doing it because I've been sidetracked with a bunch of other stuff. I guess this video is sort of going to be kind of like something of my opinion on a topic that I feel really strongly about and that I've been wanting to kind of talk about because I think a lot of people would appreciate it if I did. And it's going to be a little controversial, I'm sure of it, because you're going to have your religious people and then your non-religious people, and they're going to argue over it till I don't know when, but forever, infinitely. This video is kind of something that I sort of feel like is important to me because it kind of allows me to get out something that I've been wanting to get out. I'm very passionate about, astronomy and cosmology and things like that, and I've been passionate about that for a long time, like since I was a kid, so it's kind of a topic in that vein. But I guess I could just get to the point. So I have been reading a lot of things about humans and like where we'll be going in the next 100 plus years, 200, 300, even 1,000 years. And it's kind of sad because like most of the topics that I read about are kind of depressing, and I don't mean to knock on, people that are amazing scientists. I really don't like to knock on them because they're brilliant people, and I guess in a way I kind of have to say I really don't want to have to say anything rude to religious people because they kind of fall into that same category as the scientists, and for once all of these people kind of fall into the same category. I guess I could start with, I am sort of tired of the human bashing that happens, and it's sort of the we're not worthy syndrome, and it's kind of frustrating because I feel like it's put us all in a state of unhappiness for the rest of our duration that we're here. And when I say here, I mean on this planet, or more so the duration of us existing. And it's kind of like a plague, and it's been happening since I can recall in history of reading anything. It's been happening, and I think that this is where we can start to see a change if we kind of see it from this perspective, maybe. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of how I can put this all together. So you have, I like to say, 3 different groups of people. You have your religious people, and then you have your sort of Gaia followers, your hippies. I don't care if that's offensive, but yeah, your Gaia followers. And I guess that could sort of fall into a dogma kind of system, but I like to keep them separate for now. And then you have your atheists or your scientists. And I'm sure that atheists and scientists could kind of be separated if you want to, but it's not really necessary. Because even though you may not be a scientist or in the science vein, you still could be one of those misanthropic people that I'm going to refer to. So they kind of still fall into that category, I guess. If you want to subcategorize them, that's fine, but it still plays into what I'm going to say. So I guess where I'm going with this is that if you notice, all 3 or 4, depending, kind of have something in common. And you think, well, religion, how could they all? And I know you're going to think too is that, oh, well, they all have a strong belief in something. Yes, they do, and that's common. That is a common thing that they have. But my specific focus is they all do something the same. And this same thing drives me crazy And I've really noticed it as I've gotten older. And I really do believe that this is one of the main reasons why humans have become so deranged, insane, and just depressed. And what it is with your religious people, there's the notion that we are not worthy to God. God created us in his image, yet we made a mistake, and then he has a son that allowed us to be forgiven. Allowed us to be forgiven. I mean, when you really think about it, that sounds silly. Like, we have to earn that forgiveness, and he was so kind to give his son so that we could be better people, right? And we would live on because of that. That whole, we have to be worthy to go to heaven. We have to be worthy to do this. Because we have to prove ourselves to God to be worthy. And this isn't just Christianity. I mean, you can go into any other religion, whether it be Judaism, Islam, it doesn't, Hinduism. There's always that sense of desire to be worthy, to be one with everything. You have to be worthy enough to do so. You have to. To be allowed into of any kind of heaven in Islam, you have to be worthy. No matter what religion it is, there's that sense of worthiness you have to achieve. And I'm moving on quickly. You have the Gaia people. The Gaia people who believe Mother Earth be one with all the plants and animals, and everyone lives in a harmony, and blah, 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 blah. But then you have that sense of you have to be worthy enough to live on this planet and to serve Gaia and to protect her. Okay, so then there's that worthiness again. We have to earn her respect by giving her ourselves and doing everything we can to protect her. Then you have the scientist or atheist people. Now this is where I kind of get upset, because you'd think that these people would not do that, because they didn't have that dogma feeling. But they're just as guilty, because they have the notion that we're not smart enough for anything. We're just dumb humans. Ignorant humans, not even a type 1, as they say in science, civilization, so stupid, so ignorant, so dumb. And we just couldn't fathom the awesomeness of some other intelligent life form out there. We just couldn't fathom it. We're so dumb, and we're just soon to destroy our own selves because we are just so stupid and selfish. And even if you don't want to believe in other civilizations, we're just so dumb that we'll never advance. We'll never be better people or a better species, because we're just so ignorant and so selfish. They all have this in common. They all believe in their mind and in their thoughts that we are not worthy. That they spread this thing of like, we have this ego, that we don't deserve it. We don't deserve to know all things, or we will never know all things because we're so dumb, or we're so selfish and ignorant and unwilling to compromise. But that's just not the case. And I feel like this is what has made us hate ourselves in a subliminal kind of way. I feel like this is what's keeping us down and not from evolving further on to something better. And when I say better, it could be anything. It could be better technologically, better emotionally, better as a species, and even more sentient than we already are. Like there's that desire there, but we can't quite reach it or grasp it because we are so focused on what we are not worthy of. We're not allowed to be positive. We're not allowed to be, and they say, egotistical. But is it really egotistical to be proud of the fact that we're even here? We're taught in science to believe that we should not feel special, because that's ignorant, because we're just a small dust speck in all of the amazing vastness of the universe. that we're just some crazy accident, a fluke? Well, if we are a fluke, we're a damn fucking incredible fluke, considering how far we've reached out. And yes, I know it's a small amount of space that we've reached out to, but we're still here. We're still able to even notice our surroundings. And even if we're not the only ones, we should still feel proud that we even acknowledge that we may not be. You know what I mean? I think we spend so much time worrying about what we're not worthy of that we'll never know what worthy really is. And it kind of makes me upset that we'll never expand beyond where we are now if we don't start changing that about our thought process. We go through life, living to do what? To do what? We always ask ourselves, what is the importance of us? Well, we'll never freaking know what the importance of us is because we're too busy worrying about what we're not worthy of or capable of. We're constantly trying to live up to something's expectations. But what? But what? A God that we can't see? In a civilization that we don't even know is there? A type of humanity we want to be, but we don't even know if it's a possibility? But yet we're comparing ourselves to it? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then we wonder why we're all so unhappy all the time, because we spend most of our time pushing ourselves down. And it will stay that way as long as we keep living that way. I was sitting in the car the other day, and I was listening to the song Yesterday Days, I don't know if it's plural or singular, by Paul McCartney or the Beatles. And it was nighttime, and it was just this awesome drive, and I was coming home from school, and I had a long day, and I was tired, and man, I just had all these thoughts running through my mind after what I had read the day before, and I was just so angry and bitter and mad about it, because the article that I had read just was so negative. And I was really just listening to that song, and I thought, humans created that. Humans created that. We took a piece of the planet. We took a piece of the planet, the tree. We carved it into a shape, put a bunch of other pieces of planet together, made an instrument out of these pieces, put it together to make sound, even just acoustic sound. And then we were capable of doing that alone. Then on top of that, we write melodies over these notes that we've made a system out of, like a language of its own. That's not even just human speaking languages, basic languages of our planet. This is like a whole different language of music. We put that together and formed something like that. And we call ourselves ignorant. And then you think about all the other things that we've done. We've discovered that there's light, and that it's not just light, it's pockets. And it travels at a certain speed through time. And we've discovered magnets, and we've discovered our planet is round, and that we revolve around the sun, and that the sun revolves in the manner of around the galaxy, and the galaxy floats through space. And there's just all these cool things that we have discovered, that we have came across, and that we're able to know. Not to discredit other species, because they have their own intellectual abilities in themselves. But we have come so far in such a short time. Literally, think about this. Think about this for a moment. We have, and I'll even shorten it. So think about how the world was during the Revolutionary War for Americans. Think about how it was then. We're talking 1700s, late 1700s. And it is only 2000 2018 now. That is not a lot of time. And look where we are now. I'm able to record on this computer. I am able to record on my phone. We have satellites orbiting the planet to ping from our phones to where we can talk to anybody on the entire planet we want to. We can send signals out into space. We can land rovers on other planets. We freaking have a freaking mission out in the Kuiper Belt right now. That's the furthest out. You think about that. In just that small time. And we discredit ourselves because we think it's wrong to think that we're something remarkable or special. It's selfish to think that. Doesn't that sound like something? You have scientists saying we are so wrong for believing that we're something special because it happened. Things amazing like that happen in space all the time. No, they do. They do. But you sound like a religion. Well, we're not allowed to think of ourselves as special because things amazing happen in space all the time. Yeah, they do. They do happen. But something amazing happened on this planet too. Life happened. Not just human life, life in general. And I know you're going to say, well, that's the human ego. Well, you know, why do we have an ego to begin with? Why do we have emotions? If we were not meant to think of ourselves as something spectacular or something great or even just awesome that we're here, why do we even have a conscience for that matter? Why do we have the ability to think? If we're just, as the song goes and as sayings go, all we are is all we've left behind, then what is the purpose of us being here at all? Why did we evolve with the brain capacity that we have? Why? If we are not meant to feel good or feel intellectually awesome, and I can use that word because it makes sense in this context, why are we given the abilities to do what we do if we are nothing special? If animals are just now that we know of, and I say that because I don't know, because they could have had this ability long before I even knew, but I'm just saying, if animals are just now getting the abilities to do things like dogs able to open doors and monkeys able to do other incredible things that humans do, and you have intelligent birds like ravens and crows that can play games and make themselves fun activities now, and they have way smaller brains than we do. So I'm just saying, if we just now notice that they have that ability, and we've been doing this for how long? Making civilizations, making homes, creating computers and all this other stuff. We have that ability, and I'm sorry, I'm just flabbergasted that we are literally made to believe by whether it be religion or anything else that we don't have a right to feel awesome about that. I don't understand that notion, and that we're nothing special, in that one day it will all be gone. And there's like the doomsdayers, and it's not just religious people being doomsdayers. It's like I said, it's the scientist, atheist people too. They're like, well, we're just all gonna die. You better plan on an apocalypse, because if it ain't gonna happen by a comet or a meteor or something, then it's gonna be ourselves, and we're just gonna nuke ourselves to death, and we all might as well kiss our asses goodbye, because that's all we're programmed to do, is to kill each other and kill our species. As if other species are not made to do that in some way. You think about it though, particles do the same thing. You have some particles that will survive, and some particles that will assimilate, and some particles that are just built to destroy, and they'll destroy themselves eventually, and that's just how it is. And maybe us as species and life and everything we are is the same way, and you can't really dictate whether or not something's going to do that, because everyone's different yet the same. We're all made up of the same stuff, but at the same time we're all completely different, and we're all programmed differently. You know, that's what's incredible is that if we're all the same, then why is it that you have some people who disagree on things? So technically, no, we're not all the same. So then really, how much of a fluke are we when we have these abilities? We have these abilities. And even if we are just this tiny little speck in some weird off random arm of our galaxy and just one little lone speck in, the vastness of our universe, and one day we won't be here, I would like to believe that somehow in some way we would continue on, because it's in our nature to survive, or we wouldn't be here at all. We truly wouldn't be here right now if we were not meant to survive, and maybe that's why we have survived. All that filter stuff aside, we are meant to survive. We've built our entire lives on survival. Our entire life of species has been on survival, and animals too, and the earth in general has been built on survival. And that is to be something to be praised and to be thankful for. That we're here and that we haven't, don't you think it's kind of crazy that we haven't had one big asteroid come our way or one big comet come our way magically somehow since humans have been living on, and you know what I mean? We haven't had that. Supposedly the dinosaurs wiped out by a big, huge, giant space rock. They all died off. But humans, in the long duration that we've had, have not had that. Magically, amazingly, somehow we have it. And I just feel like we are not acknowledging that. We're not acknowledging that factor. So I guess in short, not really short, but I guess to finish and wrap all this up, I think we need to spend more time being excited that we're here, being excited that we have the conscious ability to have emotions and the conscious ability, not that animals don't, but I'm just saying, we have the ability to have that conscious emotion and the conscious drive and motivation to build things, to create things, just like our universe does. We have that ability to do that. We have the ability to traverse across this in some point in time in our lives, in our life of our species. We will have that ability to travel on far beyond where we are now. And maybe there are other things out there, and maybe there isn't. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that, but I would probably go with there is. We just haven't found it yet. But in the meantime, I would like to believe that we are pretty darn freaking special, that we are even here, and we should be praising that, not turning it down and saying, how dare us, humans and our egos, believe that we are something special. We are. So, like I said, this isn't really to knock on Carl Sagan or, anybody like that, or John Wheeler, or anybody for that matter. I just want to feel like we should be proud of where we are now, and we should appreciate ourselves and appreciate the life that we do have on here, like the fact that we do have plants that help sustain us. We all work together to maintain each other's life. We're all a big ecosystem. We have to have each other to live. I think that's kind of where we miss things, is that we don't realize that we have to have each other. And in a way, our life kind of is dependent on our solar system. Our life is dependent on the moon, because the moon helps our oceans and our tides and our weather. And the sun helps us here too. It helps us survive. It helps the plants survive. It maintains the balance. Did you know that it's rare for a planet of our size to have a moon of our size? That's rare. Our sun is considered rare. Our habitable zone is rare. There's all these things that are rarities. And maybe they're rare because we haven't found them yet and we're just a small portion of the whole area of the space. And maybe that's so. But again, you can't be in denial of something incredible. You know what I mean? Yes, we're babies right now, but I really think that if we spent time just kind of being happy and proud of the fact that we're here and being excited to move forward instead of blaming it on egotism and things like that, I think we would actually succeed and be better off. So that's kind of all I wanted to say about it. I want you guys to kind of ponder on it and tell me what you think. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear what you think about that. I'd like to hear if you disagree with me, if you think that it is selfish to feel special or to not feel like a fluke. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. So go ahead and post them up, and thanks for taking the time to watch my long video. I know it's kind of long and probably seems like I'm rambling, but I guess these conversations always kind of go that way. So, but I hope you all have a good night, and like I said, let's keep the conversations going.